We've driven just about 2,000 kilometers from Johannesburg to Cape Town and right here to Knysna, where we are right now with this brand new and all-electric Mercedes-Benz EQV 300. I think this is an exclusive actually in the country because we're the first ones to be experiencing this car on a long road trip and get a real-world feel for it. And in this video, I'm going to be telling you everything about this car, from the looks to the tech inside to the range, especially driving it on a long road trip, and then everything else in between, comfort, you name it. So stay tuned for more. Before we go any further, it's important that we get the important stuff out of the way. This new Mercedes-Benz EQV 300 is priced at 2.3 million rand. And when looking at sort of like your technical specifications, what you're greeted with here is 150 kilowatts as well as 365 Newton meters of torque. Now, from a range perspective, you're getting about a top or a maximum of about 363 kilometers. Those are WLTP numbers. We'll share a little bit more later about our experience and what we managed to get from a single charge using this vehicle and how it does on the road in general. But then let's have a look at and discuss the looks on this baby over here. When it comes to the looks on this brand new EQV 300, it's worth noting that this car was actually released at the same time as the new V-Class. Well, globally that is. Locally it took some time because electric adoption around the country has been at a rather slow pace. But what you're greeted with is a very familiar fascia. What you see here is a single frame grille up front for the V-Class. This one has been blocked out because you don't need the air vents. This is all electric, of course. And then to the sides, what you're greeted without those daytime running lights, and then you get your headlamps. Underneath that you get blacked out air vents. They have also been blocked out, by the way. And then when we're moving to the sides, you're greeted with those 18-inch wheels that look really smart with this rim. And then the rest of the body is very neat in a Kalahari gold color. When moving to the rear, you get those LED lights coming through over there, and then you get that really cool feature of the sort of like a preview glass at the back of the car. And then we can have a look inside where I can show you all the tech and what I see from a driving perspective. Come inside the Mercedes-Benz EQV 300 and what you're greeted with is this round, very big steering wheel that's wrapped in leather, and then it has multi-function options right here on the sides, which are touch sensitive as well as give you some sort of a haptic feedback when you're pressing the buttons. It looks very nice aesthetically, but what I don't like about it is that by accident, when you're either turning or you're maneuvering, you might press some of these buttons by accident, and that forces everything to change, either your volume or your view, what you see on the screen in front of you, or even from the main sort of like infotainment screen. So that's not nice. I think physical buttons would have been great here, but what I see right in front of that is a screen for all my instrumentals that shows me my speed, my current at which I'm either accelerating or braking, and then what I have here, back to the steering wheel, are sort of like paddles, but they're actually for the regenerative braking. There's one for the minus on my left, and on my right hand side is one for plus. If I go on minus, it just means that I'm going for stronger regeneration, and then if I go on plus, that means I'm going for less regeneration. But what regeneration essentially means is that because it's an electric vehicle, as the car is moving and as you brake, that energy that is being generated from the brakes and the actual movement of the car, the wheels turning, it's getting used back to create energy and give us more range, essentially. That's what regenerative means. And by making either stronger or more on a, I want to say, weaker side, you're essentially getting more for the energy that you're regenerating, or you're getting a bit less. So it's up to you what you want to do. But right now I have it on strong recuperation, which just means that I'm essentially one pedal driving. So I'm just using my accelerator to either accelerate forward. When I let off my foot, it just means that the braking is a bit stronger, more apparent, so I don't have to press on the brakes actually, which is quite cool for an EV. So as we're moving, we're regenerating power. But back to what I see, In the center is a big infotainment screen for your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This model specifically, they do not have that activated. It's an optional extra on this car, so you have to pay about 6,000 Rand to activate Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and enjoy all of those nice things to connect your smartphone with. And right underneath that are your air vents for your air cons, as well as on the sides, which are really nice Mercedes-Benz style. The rest of the dashboard is finished off in a wood finish, and then there's some leather touches here and there. Back to the center here, there's a trackpad actually, which helps me control my infotainment. This trackpad for the driver, it's very distracting. I wouldn't advise that, but for the passenger, it's quite neat and quite nice for them to control some of the features on the screen. But again, the screen is touch, so you can do everything there directly. The seats in this car, you get 7 seats and they're all leather, finished in a leather. The second row is customizable. You can actually swivel it around, choose whether you want everyone to huddle together, face each other, or you can either have them sitting in sort of more like a classroom style or your standard sort of a pupil mover style where everyone is facing forward. It's up to you. And in the center, you get a nice table there where you can place either your laptop if you're working on the go, or you can use it to have food, play games with whoever you're traveling with, if it's a long journey with your family and friends, or whatever the instance may be, right? The table is there for you to enjoy, which is quite a nice feature in this car. And then there's plenty of room, leg room for everyone to sit comfortably in this vehicle. And then to the rear, you get that boot space, which has been divided nicely by Mercedes to give you either a compartment underneath for your bigger suitcases, and then the one on top, you can place more items or more loose items that you want easy access to through that preview glass, which is quite a nice feature on this car. And then there's also space for the charging cables, because we are driving an EV in this vehicle, so that also comes in handy. And that's that from a vehicle perspective. And then when focusing in on the tech, it has a 21 speaker Burmeister system in this car, which is a nice spec. That speaker system is really well mated to this car. And then it has all the bells and whistles when it comes to safety. You get forward collision warning, even at the rear, even on the sides. It's very intrusive actually, but it's actually nice because this is a big car, so it warns you way ahead of time. It's a bit premature actually, but it's quite nice for, especially for people that are not used to this size of a vehicle. But for myself, being someone that has spent quite a few days, weeks with this car, it's kind of too much, and I wish you could switch it off actually. So you get all of that baked into this vehicle. There is a level of autonomy when it comes to driving this car, so you can put it on cruise, adaptive cruise control, with your lane keeping assistant on. It'll obviously brake and leave a gap for you and the car in front of you, but unfortunately for South Africa, we don't have that feature where the car might either change lanes for you or do anything of that sort. Unless you're in an accident, the car detects that. It'll do that for you a little bit, just to try and get out of the way there. But that's that from a safety and technology perspective on this car. When it comes to charging the Mercedes-Benz EQV 300, we left Johannesburg in the early hours of the morning on a full charge, which gave us about 350 kilometers. We joined the N1 and made our way towards the Free State. Our first charging stop was Ventersburg, just outside of Kroonstad. We reached this spot with about 15% left on our battery capacity. We charged here for just under 50 minutes, but we also used this stop to refresh, grab breakfast before we continue on our journey. Right after lunchtime, we headed straight to Bloemfontein, where we charged at the Astron on the hill. We found another 80 kilowatt charger, which gave us about an hour's time to charge from about 10% to full. And then we headed back onto the N1 and straight towards Colesberg. It was rather late in the day, so we decided to use this as our overnight stop. We found a little quaint place just outside of Colesberg where we actually rested for the night, and first thing in the morning we headed back to the city of Colesberg, where we found another charger at an Astron garage, where we charged for about an hour up until Richmond, where we found a 60 kilowatt charger. And then we made our way to Graaff-Reinet just by lunchtime, where we found another 60 kilowatt charger. And then we headed towards Laingsburg, and then we headed towards Worcester,
and then finally made our way to Cape Town late in the evening on the second day of our trip. Now, after a few days in Cape Town, we made our way towards Knysna, but we did that with a few charging stops included at Swellendam and another charging stop at a very quiet garage, but I know that the toasties are very nice. And then we headed towards Hartenbos, where we found a very quick 150 kilowatt charger just before we made our way to Knysna for a few days. After that, it was time for us to drive back to Johannesburg, but we didn't go reverse on the route to Cape Town. We just went to George and then back up past Uniondale, and then we stopped into Graafrenet for a quick charge and then made our way to Colesberg and back towards Bloemfontein, Ventersburg, and back into Johannesburg again.
And then when it comes to the overall comfort and experience with this EQV 300, it's been a very comfortable ride. It just feels like any other V-Class really, minus the fact that obviously you're dealing now with an electric motor. So that you don't get that range of close to 1,000 from either the diesel or what have you. But it's very comfortable. The ride quality from a driver's perspective is very high. You don't get tired at all or exhausted easily, which is perfect for road trips. Comfortable seats to match, even at the rear. The ride is very smooth and comfortable and quiet. The air suspension on this car, I noticed it does have one. I actually didn't think it does, or I didn't know that it does. I actually noticed when we were taking off, or when you just start the car, it raises a little bit. It's quite nice and it's quite soft, especially in humps and uneven road surfaces. Listen, there's nothing to fault there. I really love that. And that's our time from driving the Mercedes-Benz EQV. And that's our time with the Mercedes-Benz EQV 300. I'm quite curious to know what you think of this car over here. We don't really have a lot of people mover electric vehicles in the country, so your choices are pretty much limited. But let us know in the comments down below and stay tuned for more on this episode.